The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us here today on this wonderful weekend and super show we have in store for you on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. That's right, in case you want to hear the show again, or visit our show archives at stewart.com/radio. Let's get down to business right now as we have tremendous real estate professionals in store for you. And we're going to start off with Ed Wolf. He is the president of Beth Wolf Realtors right here in Houston, Texas. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
It's been a while. We haven't seen you for quite a bit, and you're here again. Let's tell people about your company, Beth Wolf Realtors.
Thank you. Yeah, my mother, Beth Wolf, started the company in 1978. Had to raise two children, me being one of them, on a single-parent salary, and thought that real estate would be a great way to have more time with her kids and still be able to earn a living. The more time with her kids wasn't exactly on par until we graduated and started to work with her. But it's been great, and I started working with her in 1993. It's been a little over 30 years in the business now, and love what I do. I was a psychology major, and that has proven to be an excellent degree for selling real estate, because we deal with people more than we deal with houses.
No doubt about it, and there's so much psychology that goes into really any transaction. But when we think about the real estate transaction, lots of interesting things happen, and a seasoned professional like you must be having a great time all these many years.
It's been a lot of fun, and having clients come back, and I'm selling grandchildren of people that I sold property to when I first started in the business. So it's been a lot of fun, and I hope to continue to be able to do it for the next 20 or 30 years or so, and then eventually I'll hang it up.
And Ed, let's tell people, as far as the changes coming down the pike, I think we're just a few weeks away from a lot of changes happening in the real estate world for buyers and sellers and realtors. Let's give people an idea of the importance of the representation aspects and anything else you think that we should know about.
You know, for real estate professionals, and there are a number of us in the business who do this for a living and are doing it full time, the business, we're handling the most expensive asset most people own in their life. And it used to be, I have a cousin who's a realtor that I have to use, or gosh, my sister has her license, and so I kind of have to use her. But when you talk about how many transactions they've done and what their experience is, it can get really complicated. And when you're trusting the most expensive thing that you purchase in your life to a professional, you want them to have experience. You want them to know what it is that it takes to buy and sell a house. And the business has changed due to a couple of lawsuits that occurred in the Northeast, actually, that called into question how commissions were paid and how we compensated each other through our multiple listing service. And we have always been upfront with our clients about how we get paid. We work with buyers on a buyer's agreement. We work with sellers on a listing agreement. Most of the time, the buyer's agent is paid by the seller through a commission agreement that we have in our multiple listing service. So I'm clear that when something's in the MLS, there's compensation for a buyer's agent included, and it typically says what that is. That will go away as of August 17th. We'll no longer have a commission agreement within MLS for buyers and sellers to guarantee payment to a broker. But in reality, payment was never guaranteed to begin with. Everything's negotiable. And by the time you got to the contract, if you went and audited our books, you're not going to find a standard commission rate across the board. And so there's no question that we've always operated in a world of negotiable value. And we're going to continue to operate in a world of negotiable value. And if I'm worth it, you're going to pay me. And it's my job to prove to you that I'm worth it. It's our job as real estate agents to show the value of what we bring to the table. And most of the people who are doing this professionally and who have been doing it professionally with experience aren't concerned about the changes in the industry. Those people who maybe were doing this on the side and trying to earn a little extra income are going to have a little more difficult time proving their worth because experience adds value. That's sort of where things are headed.
Well, it sounds like the concept is the same because, in real estate, everything's negotiable. We've all heard the phrase, but it sounds like there might be some extra paperwork involved. I don't know. Do we know that yet?
It's going to go back to the days when we would pick up the phone and call the other agent and say, so is the seller offering any compensation for the buyer's agent? If not, we have an agreement with our buyer. And the only thing we have to do is help everybody figure out how we can help everybody through the transaction, get to the other side, and still be able to afford to purchase the home. It's going to be a little more work, but that's okay. We can handle it, and we've always done whatever it takes to get a property sold or to work with a buyer or a seller, and we won't have any problem doing whatever's required in the future.
Sounds interesting, and it'll all play out. It's going to be fascinating. I think maybe perhaps a few bumps initially, but once we get used to the extra communication and maybe a few new forms, we cruise right along, I'm going to guess. 3 to 6 months and things will be operating as normal. I don't anticipate the business to change substantially. I don't anticipate the prices or the compensation to change substantially. It's strictly going to be working with our buyers and sellers to ensure that we're giving them the best opportunity to acquire or sell a home and making sure that they do it for the highest value they possibly can as a seller and making sure the buyer gets the best opportunity that they can get in a market that sometimes right now the market says that a buyer would potentially have to compensate somebody more than it's listed for because the inventory is still very low. We're seeing continued in certain areas, multiple offer situations on good properties that go quickly. And of course, your company is a family-owned business, been around a long time, and I want to say hello to your mom listening right now, hopefully Beth Wolf, and your sister, Cynthia. Mm-hmm. Right. It's a family business. Give us an idea, if I'm a buyer or seller, the nuances of how a family business is going to be of benefit. I already like the idea right now, but... Well, it's great. We've got 35 full-time associates, and we consider every one of them our family. A couple of them have worked there longer than I have. But the idea of being able to communicate on a daily basis, still going into the office and seeing each other is important, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of times when a new property is something that we're getting ready to list in 3 or 4 days. You walk into the office and somebody's talking about a buyer that they have, and you can say, wait a minute, I've got a property for you. And in this market, that's important. Knowing about something before it goes on the market, communicating with each other about a property we just saw that came on the market by another company, but is something that might work for somebody's buyer. So collaborative environments breed better service to our clients. And as far as Houston goes, we say it here, I say it a lot on the show, we're the 4th largest city, soon to be the 3rd. It's a very diverse city, to say the least, maybe one of the most diverse in our United States even. But as far as your company, you are poised in a certain way to handle the diversity of all the cultures that have come together. Let's tell people about that. Yeah, our agents speak 4 different languages throughout the company. We have agents of all different backgrounds, and I got involved originally in 1993 in the International Real Estate Federation, got to travel the world from 93 to 2004 with them as president of FIABSA USA and bringing the World Congress here to Houston in 2004, and got to know a lot of different cultures, a lot of different real estate in different areas around the world. And when you go and visit somebody and how they live in their home environment, and then they're here in Houston trying to adapt to an environment that doesn't necessarily feel like their home does, or the products don't necessarily fit their niche requirements, having that knowledge and knowing where we can help them at least feel a little more comfortable in our environment is invaluable. And I've enjoyed that piece of the puzzle. I also think, though, that when you have clients that are a diverse cross-section of the world,
that you need to pay very close attention to what it is that they're asking you for, and you need to understand the cultural nuances where maybe they don't feel as comfortable being open about what it is that's bothering them. And it's really important to help bring that to the forefront.
We're talking with Ed Wolf. He's the president of Beth Wolf Realtors. And as you talk about details like this, Ed, and the nuances, real estate and each and every transaction is a little bit different along the way. And even as you said in the beginning, commissions are negotiable and things like that. But as far as the details, and they seem to get even more detailed as new forms are there and other considerations. How do you handle all the detail work, you and the team at Beth Wolf Realtors?
We've got a great team behind us, and you were asking me about my email address earlier. We've got a couple of email addresses that go to 5 different people in the office to ensure that things are getting responded to and replied to in a timely fashion, that we're keeping up with what's going on. We do a lot of corporate relocation, and paying attention to what's happening on a moment's notice is important. So while I'm sitting here with you, I've got 5 people back at the office doing things that I need them to do in order to meet my next obligation this afternoon. So that's great, and we rely on each other, we trust each other, and that just provides a better service for our clients.
And Ed, before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know?
I think it's just important that when you're out there considering purchasing or selling a home, that you look for a professional that meets your needs, that is somebody that you can work with, communicate with, feel open to tell them everything. This is not an adversarial relationship. If we're going to be your advocate, we need to know what it is you're thinking. We need to know what it is you want. We can always meet your goals, provided your goals are realistic, and we provide you the details and information you need to make a solid decision on the best way to sell your home for the most amount of money, or to purchase a home and not be taken advantage of or end up in a position where you can't sell it if you needed to.
And as you mentioned relocation right quick, are you still seeing people with your company moving from other states right here to Houston?
More moving in than are moving out, which is part of the inventory problem we've got. But yes, we've got a lot of people that are relocating to Houston and making Houston their home. And the interesting thing is, over the last 5 to 10 years, as they retire, they maintain a residence here in Houston. We see a lot of consulting and continued work. We also find people fall in love with Houston. Nobody comes here because they want to. This isn't gosh, I'm going to move to Houston. It's a great place to retire. It is a place that people come to and find themselves ingrained in the culture, in the society, and in the fabulous things that this city has to offer, and eventually find it hard to leave.
Ed, let's tell people how they can reach out to you, Ed Wolf.
They can reach me at 713-622-9339 or at www.bethwolff.com. Wolf with 2 Fs.
And the number again is?
713-622-9339.
Ed, thank you so much. As we continue, let's talk to Gay and Steve Watkins with the Watkins team. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Well, it's super awesome to see you. RE/MAX Integrity is the name of the company, right?
That's correct.
Everyone's heard of RE/MAX. Let's tell people about the Watkins team and start with you, Gay.
All right. I have been with RE/MAX since 2012. I started my real estate career in 2005 working for Bentwater Sales Corporation, and got smart after 6.5 years and joined RE/MAX, and I've been there ever since and will be there forever.
And also, Steve is your husband. So this is what we call in real estate a husband and wife team. Right, Steve?
Aptly named, yes. Yes, I joined her 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
10 years ago, after I got fed up with the
commercial cabinetry.
Commercial and residential cabinetry. I've been a cabinet maker for 15 years.
Well, I think that's a show first right now. We've had a lot of people that have been teachers that find their way into real estate, but cabinet makers, that is something brand new.
Yes, I cut my teeth on cabinet making in California, where people came in and said, I want a kitchen. And then they'd walk out, and 6 weeks later, we'd present them with a kitchen. They never asked the cost, which was exorbitant.
Well, just what city in California, by the way?
We were in San Mateo.
About that. Well, as far as, and also, Gay, you mentioned Bentwater. We know that on the east side of town, or the northwest side of town. It's very popular. And when you mention Bentwater, for those listening outside of Houston, Bentwater is on the northwest of Houston in Montgomery County. So let's
That is
tell
correct.
people what's going on real estate-wise in the Montgomery County. And it's a very popular area, by the way.
It's a very
isn't it?
popular area. It's been one of the fastest growing counties in the United States for the last several years, and we're feeling it. Most of our business is Bentwater, but we are expanding with our team. We did that last year and had 2 others join us, and one of them is a native from Conroe, and the other is a retired vet. So Montgomery County is growing strong. It's got a wonderful school district. The community we live in is Bentwater. Speaking of retirement, Bentwater used to be known as a retirement community because there were so many activities, but now with the school district, it is probably equal retired and young families.
Well, I've been through Bentwater, and it's very nice. I haven't been there recently, but about 6 months ago. A gated community, and it just has a lot of amenities, but it just seems so well taken care of as well.
It's
and beautiful homes.
It's very well taken care of. We have three 18-hole golf courses. We have the Marina and Yacht Club, the Fitness Center, a day spa, the Country Club. They have curbside meals every night that you can go pick up. It's just a very tight-knit community. If you've got a cold, you're going to have more chicken noodle soup than you can eat. If you've got something going on in your life, whether it's an illness or a issue with a child or a parent, you've got somebody to help you out.
Very nice. So within the city, in the spread out city of Houston, there are so many nice communities, and Bentwater is one of them.
It's absolutely one of the premier communities in the Houston area.
Well, when people move from other states to Houston, I'm going to guess they find Bentwater. And how do they find the Watkins team?
If you are searching for waterfront or golf course property anywhere in the Houston area, we show up. We keep in touch with our SOI for our Google searches and all of that.
So you found a way to make sure that you show up.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Yes,
Google Gay Watkins or Google the Watkins team.
We have a very smart website and a very smart man who's helping us with our Google searches, and we appear in those searches a lot. And so we get a lot of phone calls, and we work them and help them find the perfect home.
And let's tell people the website, Steve.
It's a catchy one, www.thewatkinsteamtx.com. We had to put the TX in there because there's already a Watkins team.
But none like you.
None like us.
TheWatkinsTeamTX.com.
That's correct.
Well, give us an idea of some of the other. Certainly you cover real estate outside of Bentwater, but tell us a little bit more about Bentwater. Are there, right now, from an availability standpoint, there might be someone that says, hey, that sounds pretty nice to me, but do they have homes available?
Absolutely, we do. There's probably 77 homes on the market right now. The community has a total of about 2,500 homes and the ability to build another 300. There are still vacant lots that you can build on.
And I remember those many months ago as I drove through there, I saw new construction. I saw homes being built, and some even with for sale signs.
There are 17 new construction homes on the market right now.
What are the price ranges?
The least expensive home right now in Bentwater is $349,000, and we go all the way up to $3.4 million. So we've got a wide range.
A wide range, and it's again, the amenities are very beautiful. It's on the lake.
That's correct. There's 14 miles of lakefront homes.
So as you said, you have a niche, so to speak, at least for people to find you for a waterfront property. If someone, whether it's Bentwater or somewhere else up there, what is available, and also budget-wise, if someone said, I think it's time in my life, whether they're retired or maybe they're 35 years old and they'd say, I just want to be on the water. What kind of pricing would would it take to be on the water with a nice view?
So the condos, the one-bedroom condos will start around $300. But to get something more than a one-bedroom and more than a condo, you're looking at a minimum of $600, if not $800 or $900.
So those are the areas where the prices are lower. If you want something nice, at least $700
At least.
to get something that's more open water, which is what you really want.
So for $700, I might have some choices with a nice view.
Yes.
It'll be limited choices, but you will have choices.
Sounds like we need to bring the money bag out once. What if we had 900, Steve?
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. If you really want something nice, you're really looking at $1 million plus.
The least expensive in Bentwater right now is $1 million.
Wow.
And it's a complete redo.
Well, it makes me think if someone purchased in Bentwater 10 years ago or in the area or certainly waterfront property, some nice appreciation going on up there.
Absolutely. All around the lake area. With the influx of all the people coming into Montgomery, all the communities around there are growing quickly.
Well, also, let's go away from the water. What other choices are there for people in terms of nice homes, neighborhoods, if we're not, say, right near the water or outside of the Bentwater? What's happening?
There's a bunch of wonder communities. There's Woodland Hills, there's Grand Central Park, April Sound, Walden. You have a wide variety in all different price ranges.
And April Sound, I've heard of April
Right.
Sound. Tell us about that.
There's April Sound, which has similar amenities to Bentwater. It has a golf course, it has a country club, it has marina. So that's a viable option. Another one is Point Aquarius. They have marina, albeit a modest one. So they have houses on the water that have open views, but most of their homes are interior homes, as we call them.
But it's a gated community as well.
Sounds like there's some gated communities up there in Montgomery County.
There are quite a few, and if you're searching for a gated community and you're looking in Montgomery or the Lake Conroe area, you're going to find us.
We're talking with Gay and Steve Watkins, the Watkins team. Now, we know Steve started in the cabinet business before real estate, or was in the cabinet business and then real estate. Gay, what inspired you to be in the real estate world now, about 19 years or so?
Well, I've been active for 19 years this time, but I actually got my broker's license in 73 when I was 21 years old. And I got it because my mother and sister were in real estate, and we worked together very briefly. And then I took a sabbatical and raised children and got back into it 19 years ago.
Wow. And what is it you love so much about real estate to be in it for such a long time?
The relationships that you make. The clients that we have are friends. We get together often, not weekly, but at least monthly, and we just enjoy the people.
Yeah, we view ourselves as helpers. We want people to realize their dreams, and in that light, there's the phrase, "Well, let's get to the closing table." Well, that's not in our vocabulary. We call it the open table because we view our relationship with our clients as ongoing forever. We do things like pop buys, drop little gifts off, like scarecrows, Mother's Day presents, all kinds of stuff like that.
Sounds good to me.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, real estate is fun. It's always interesting. And like we said earlier, each transaction's a little bit different. You're getting to meet new people all the time. Gay, let's tell people how they can reach the Watkins team.
The Watkins team, you can reach me at 936-718-7997. Gay, G-A-Y-E, at thewatkinsteamtx.com or our website, www.thewatkinsteamtx.com.
The number again is
936-718-7997.
Thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Well, we have a show first as we're going to meet Buck Perino. His company is Carswell Real Estate, and he is known as the Realtor on horseback. Buck, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it today. Thank you, sir.
Well, here you are. No horse, but you are known as the Realtor on horseback. Let's tell people about your company, Buck.
Absolutely. So I started in real estate about 6 years ago, and as you probably know, everyone's got a pocketbook full of realtors. So I had figured out a way to differentiate myself within the market of services. And part of that was my wife came up with the idea of just get on the horse, present that house on a horseback. So now part of my listing strategy and part of my services is I take my horse out to the home, regardless of if I'm in a suburb of Houston, busy postage stamp neighborhood, or out there on big property. I take my horse out Cobra or Romeo or Stetson, and I do a listing presentation on the horse.
Okay, so you're in the house and someone says, "Hey, honey, the realtor, I see some guy on horseback."
That's correct.
Do people know that you're going to be on the horse in advance, or do you
Absolutely.
Just, okay.
So when I list the home, I'll schedule that and kind of like let them know, hey, I am going to bring my horse on. And depending on the weather or how soft the ground is, I'm not going to go traipsing through your yard.
Because it could be raining too.
Correct.
No, I'm thinking about it.
But it is interesting when you roll up in like a very tight knit community or a very close neighborhood, and kids are walking out going, "There's a horse right there. There's that guy's on a horse." So
some people use Facebook. Some people use horses.
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome. And when did you deploy this marketing strategy?
So it was probably near the beginning of COVID. Everyone was on their phones, so my wife suggested, like, what better way to stick out? If everyone's staring at their phones, be the sore thumb that sticks out.
Because people have their heads down in their phone, and if you're looking at Buck Perino on his horse, you have to look up.
That's correct.
Well, that's brilliant. So it's working out pretty good for you.
I would say so. I'm on year 6. I've grown my business every single year, doubled it the last 3, 40% growth last year, and I'm on par to do almost a 50% growth this next year.
So I wonder how the horses feel about it. Do horses have personalities even similar to dogs?
So I would say yes. Each one of my horses are very different in their mannerisms and their behavior. My main advertising horse, Cobra, I call him Warrior Princess because he is the most pampered animal on the planet, and he will throw a fit if it's too hot outside, too cold outside, it's raining too much. So he's
temperamental.
Yeah, very temperamental. Now, Stetson, my Appaloosa, I'd say he's more like a tank because he can deal with almost anything other than pulling the bit on his mouth when you're riding him. You got to be very sensitive with your hands. And then Romeo, on the other hand, he'll stand out in the middle of the rain. Doesn't care. Well, it doesn't matter how hot it is. Doesn't matter if it's cold. He's just a trooper.
Well, let's give people an idea as far as, other than what you're doing with the horses, as far as your approach to real estate and geographically where you're doing most of your work, or, let's say the last 10 or so transaction. Where have you been? So
my brokerage is located out in Pinehurst between Tomball and Magnolia. I mainly focus in the Montgomery County area. So that's probably the majority of my business.
So for those listening, and we have a lot of listeners on the internet that are not in Houston, let's tell people what part of town, if you're looking at the center of Houston, where this is.
I would say that's northwest Houston. So far out there, kind of between College Station and Houston, almost.
Now, do you find yourself selling more homes with elbow room, acreage, or it's a mixed bag? I
would say it's a mixed bag. I mean, with what listings I have coming up, it's always, whatever my clients need and kind of where I need to sell a home.
Well, you mentioned the COVID era, but maybe even before that particular time, I think people were looking to go outside of the city, and I think there was a move for people to have a little bit more elbow room. I don't know if you saw that, but if someone's out there listening right now and thinks, "Hey, man, I want some extra room. Maybe I need to go out there where Buck is." Are there places that have an acre or 2 acres even?
You can find a different array of homes out in that area. If you're looking for more of like the traditional neighborhoods, you can find plenty of those. And if you're looking for acreage homes, you can find that too. Or if you're just looking for an acre or 2, it's something that's a little bit easier to maintain, but gives you that elbow room and maybe a yard for your child to play or animals to run around.
So there's places to buy right now.
Absolutely.
And you know where they're at.
Of course.
What if someone says, "I want a barn dominium"? Are there barn dominiums out there?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find a few out there.
So, and you're finding right now the market is?
So from what I've seen, I would say your starter homes or your homes priced around that 300 to 400 range. Those ones are moving very fast. You're kind of getting a lull of homes around that 600 to 900 range. And you're seeing your luxury homes $1 million plus that are moving very quickly, depending on if they've been redone and someone's not walking into a complete remodel.
How often are you seeing cash buyers, Buck?
I would say about 40% of the time I'm seeing cash buyers.
We're talking with Buck Perino with Carswell Real Estate, also known as the Realtor on Horseback. It's the first time I got to say that in 526 shows.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. Do you use Facebook too, by the way?
Absolutely. I use Facebook and Instagram. So Instagram's probably my primary, and you can find me at the Realtor on Horseback.
And as far as real estate, you're in real estate 6 years. Prior to real estate, what were you doing?
So prior to real estate, I had a customer service focus for many years before. I had my first job was at a Office Depot for 4 years. From 16 to 20, I waited tables for the next 3 years. I went to carpet cleaning, to construction, electrical supply sales. And through all of these, I really enjoy taking care of people and making that experience fun. I tried to offer as best service as I possibly could because, treat others the way you want to be treated. I liked good service, so why not give good service to everyone else?
So of all the things real estate attracted you, what was the biggest thing that was an attraction?
Well, my wife was one that's, every boss I've had has said, man, you'd make a good realtor. And my wife was like, hey, you should get into this. And I took a leap. I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to be independent. I didn't want to rely on someone else. And I took the chance, and I'm forever grateful for it.
So it's a good thing. As far as, do people find you from other states?
So yes, I have a client I'm currently working with right now. She found me on Google. She said, hey, his headshot had a horse in it. I'm a horse owner. I love horses. What better way to work with someone that, loves horses too?
Sometimes we make things so complicated. Just get a horse. That's what I'm saying. No, but that's certainly a great way to stand out. And what you said right there tells us why we're attracted to certain people to do business with. Like-minded.
Absolutely.
Always comes to mind. And, of course, like you said earlier, good service is paramount.
That's 100%.
So as you look ahead, here we are at the halfway point of the year, Buck. How do you see things playing out here for the rest of the year, business-wise, with all the changes? And
so from what I'm seeing, I'm thinking business is going to continue as usual. With the new rules that have come into play, I would say the agents that are more stressing about it are going to fall to the wayside versus the ones that are able to bring value and really prove to their clients that they are worth what they're asking. Those ones are going to be the ones that stand out the most.
And as far as right now, if you were to look at your business, are you helping more buyers or sellers, or is it even?
Surprisingly, I'm helping a lot more sellers right now. So last year, I would say I was about a 50-50 split. Right now, I'm probably about a 75 to 80% of all my transactions are listings right now.
So listings, when someone signs a listing agreement or talks to you about, talking to you about selling my house, what are the expectations you set forth with the seller right now? How do you get them ready for the market as it is?
As it is, of course, I'll go through the house, go through a list, and hey, I would like XYZ done to the home. Maybe you need to declutter, you need to repaint some stuff, you need to repair stuff. Give them a book of contacts to reach out to if there's some of these items they don't want to handle themselves. At least they can contract those out to alleviate some of that stress, because selling a home is very stressful for a lot of folks, and it's very overwhelming.
It can be, yeah.
So trying to find a way to relieve that and make it easier for my clients is the goal. Is how much can I take off your plate and put on mine so that you can focus on the things you need to focus on and I can focus on the work.
Going back to the horse, I'm thinking it's interesting for a husband and wife maybe, or a couple, but I think if the children are present and they see the realtor on horseback, that's an extra thrill for kids.
Oh, absolutely. It's exciting watching going into these neighborhoods and with my horse Cobra, Stetson, and Romeo, one of them, and seeing kids' face light up. They're like, oh my God, it's a horse. And some folks, it's surprising because they've never seen a horse. Or they pet a horse. So you get kids that come up, oh, can I please pet the horse? Or parents that are like, oh my God, that's a horse in my neighborhood. I've never seen that. And it's like, this is Texas. There's horses everywhere. Or there used to be at one point.
Well, it just depends on the neighborhood, right? So, Buck, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know about your real estate work?
Other than being focused in the Montgomery County area, I've sold I've sold real estate all over Texas. Mainly people that, hey, I really want to use you. I trust you. And my services are very tailored to my clients. So whatever my clients need, I kind of try to take care of them in that way. And I'm always reachable by phone. I have a policy that I answer my phone. I'm always there, showing up for them, talking with them, holding their hand through transactions every step of the way.
And we know you're a regular at Stewart Title in Tomball with Becky Bohannon. Have you taken the horse up to Stewart Title?
I have not taken the horse up to Stewart Title yet.
I have a feeling it's going to happen.
It's going to have to happen.
Buck, let's tell people how they can reach you.
So you can reach me at 512-364-1303 or at Buck Perino at Carswell Real Estate, or feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at The Realtor on Horseback. And my website is www.therealtoronhorseback.com.
The phone number again?
512-364-1303.
Thank you so much, Buck Perino.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Howdy, Bill.
Howdy.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Here we are. John, once again, insurance is so interesting. People await every week. They say, what's he going to talk about next?
Well, today
we're going to find out.
We are. Today there's been a lot of things that have happened in the news recently that, to me, reinforce why our listeners need to consider working with an independent real estate or insurance broker. There are basically two types of insurance broker. There's an independent, like Stewart Insurance, that we work with a variety of insurance partners. So whether we're helping somebody with their home, wind, auto, flood, investment property, or we're working with a real estate broker or independent title attorney agent property management firm on their business insurance. So again, we have a variety of firms that we work with and have access to versus a captive agent that can only represent the products and services that company offers in that market. So there's really kind of been three things that I've read about recently that really do reinforce the benefits of working with somebody that does have access to a variety of companies. And the first one is just the weather that we've seen. If we just think about over this year alone, the number of thunderstorms, and we just had a heavy tropical storm already into the hurricane season. We've had wildfires, we've had earthquakes. It's just the weather itself is really affecting the insurance premiums that we're seeing. I mean, just recently alone in Iowa, there were 13 rivers that flooded in Iowa, and that it affected 21 counties. In fact, there was one city that completely had to be abandoned. So, we're seeing those kinds of things in the Midwest. So we're seeing all the claims that are going to come out of those floods that are in the Midwest. Sioux City, South Dakota had 7 inches of rain in 3 days, which is pretty exceptional for them. So again, there's going to be flooding issues, there. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration did a report on Texas, and since 2019, we've had 55 weather events in the state that each one caused $1 billion worth of damage. So that's $55 billion worth of damage just since 2019 on weather-related issues. So you take that story, and then the other one that's out there is just the rate increases that we're seeing. And a lot of that's been driven by these weather instances that we've seen. So, in 2013, S&P Global did a study, and 25 states in the U.S. had at least a 10% increase in premium. In Texas, the effective rate increase was a little over 23%. So we've seen, the issue with the weather, and then you throw in supply chain concerns and you throw in inflation concerns, and that's a reason that we're seeing some increases in insurance. And then because of that, so we've got the weather issue and we've got the increase in premiums, and now we've got insurance companies that are making business decisions based upon an appetite they have for coverage in a certain area. So recently, one of the major carriers announced that they were going to be limiting the new home coverage or the new coverage that they would write in the state of Texas. So one of their divisions was going to be limiting the amount of coverage that they would offer in the state of Texas. And that's basically because they're concerns about hail damage, wind damage, and the probability of a hurricane. So if you have a dwelling fire property with this company, which would be coverage for investment property, or you have a condo or a manufactured home or just a traditional home, if you have coverage with that company, they're not going to write any new business, so they're minimizing that. So if you're working with an insurance broker that has access to a variety of different companies, we can step away from that one individual firm and look at other firms to try to get the best coverage possible.
And even thinking of my own personal coverage with Stewart Insurance, using different companies like you do, having the availability of different options for people like me, helped me keep my insurance down as it's going up in stratospherically, so to speak. But I've saved money by moving around and being helped by the advisors at Stewart Insurance. The other thing I was going to say, John, is right before we recorded right here today, the Weather Channel was on, and I didn't know that it floods in Minnesota, but there were people facing a lady in her boat talking to the news person, and their neighborhood is flooding somewhere in Minnesota. I didn't know that happens up there.
It's been a crazy summer so far. We have areas of the country that the heat index is 107 degrees, and then we've got areas that normally don't flood, or at least don't flood at this time of the year, that are doing so. And I think part of the concern too, Bill, is that while yes, we understand that everybody has been affected by the increase in premiums, and we want to make sure that we find a viable option for our clients, but we also want to make sure that they understand that there's a value aspect to it beyond just the price, because you can get really low coverage. Really, you can still get some inexpensive home insurance, but it's going to be actual cash value. So many times then there's depreciation will come into play versus replacement costs, where they'll take care of the costs at today's market value. It's going to be a named perils policy where the perils are the lead cause of the damage. There's only going to be so many that they'll cover, and those will be named in the policy. So you can get coverage, but it's just going to be lesser coverage. So you've got to be willing to understand that in that case, there's a trade-off for something that might be appealing from a premium standpoint, but that trade-off is that as an individual or as a company, you're now becoming more self-insured, and you're taking on more of the risk versus offsetting that risk onto an insurance company.
Well, yes, price is important, but we better make sure we know what's covered and what's not covered. And a good way to be mindful of these things is to listen to this insurance segment every week. Because, John, if I review of all the topics that you've covered week in and week out, very important stuff.
Well, it is, and I appreciate that, Bill, and even more so working with one of our advisors at Stewart Insurance, because what we don't want to have happen is that we have a client or a listener take on let's say a less expensive premium, but they're not aware of what the coverage is. And for example, another area where some of these lower premium products come into play is they won't offer water damage coverage, or they'll offer water damage coverage at a lesser amount. So if you assume that you've got a pipe burst and that's going to be covered for the damage the water causes, you've got a seepage and leakage, or you've got a backup or foundation issue because of water damage, and you assume because I have home insurance, I've got that coverage. That may not be correct, because not all policies offer water damage, and not all policies offer all four, and not all policies offer them at the same level.
So many things to think about.
Oh, and that's why it's important to have an advisor that's with an independent brokerage, so that we can provide options based upon what your needs are at this time.
Now, what are some of the other things we should know, John?
Well, I think it's important to understand that we can help you be properly insured, which simply is understanding the coverage you have, and being comfortable with that, whether it be the most robust plan in the world or a very conservative plan. And if you're comfortable with that decision, then in our eyes, you're properly insured. And I guess the second thing would be that to reinforce the fact that we truly can help you with your real estate businesses or well as your personal insurance. And we've got advisors that specialize in those areas, And again, we work with a variety of companies that also specialize in those areas.
I also want to make sure people know as they listen outside of Houston, Texas, on the internet or wherever else, podcast and so forth, you're helping people all over the United States at Stewart Insurance, not just here in Houston.
That's correct. We have clients, both business clients and personal clients all over the U.S.
And they're fans of the show.
They are. We have most of the fans that we have outside of the greater Houston area are fans that have come from Stewart Insurance.
No doubt
Studies have just shown.
Studies
have shown.
Well, John, let's tell people how they can reach the fine associates at Stewart Insurance.
They can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, or they can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
And what if someone's in Bentwater and they want insurance?
We have the Bentwater hotline, which is 866-798-2827.
That's what I thought. The number again, just for the fun of it, is
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
Let's welcome back Ed Wolf with Beth Wolf Realtors. Ed, welcome back.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate it.
Well, let's tell people, Ed, anything else you want them to know as we get ready to close the show down here?
It's important that when you're looking for a real estate broker to represent you, that you find somebody who understands your needs, understands the location you're looking for, and understands the process of buying and selling real estate in Houston, Texas. And Houston being the largest city in the world without zoning, if you're looking for a house in Houston and trying to figure out where to put it, you got to be really, really careful. So make sure you have somebody who knows what they're doing, understands the market, and can help you find the right property to fit your needs.
And once again, real estate is so exciting. You know, all the decades that you're serving buyers and sellers, I'm sure you have a million stories, but as far as each thing is a little different, the people, the families, it's awesome.
Yeah, you were talking about insurance. We have to know insurance. We have to know title. We have to know inspections. We have to know construction. We have to know everything that surrounds the real estate transaction. But most importantly, we have to know the experts that do it. It's so great that you have access to Stewart Insurance. We use them as a company. They insure our business. They also insure a rental property that I own. So it's important that you find experts. You have a team of people that you can work with. And each of these real estate professionals that you've had here, I'm sure, has a team that they're used to working with, that they bring to the table for every client that we represent.
And Ed, when we think about marketing, certainly with your company, what are some of the things that you're doing other than here today on the radio, but what are some of the things that you do at Beth Wolf Realtors or your company does to put the word out there so people find you?
You know, we love referrals, and we work a lot with family members and folks of people that we've represented over the years. At the same time, we put ourselves out in many different ways through Instagram, through Facebook, through a lot of advertising that is internal to the Houston market, to the local market. So hopefully people will find us. Once they do, they tend to not let go of us, so that's great. And as soon as we capture a new client, we hope to capture 10 more just from that one individual. You can reach us at www.bethwolf.com, or you can call 713-622-9339. We'd be glad to help you with any of your real estate needs.
Thank you so much, Ed Wolf. Good to see you again. Here they are, Gay Watkins and Steve Watkins. Guys, as we close things down, what else you want them to know, Gay?
I just want them to know that we are very active in the Montgomery market, especially in Bentwater, and we help people of all ages. We love first-time buyers.
That's right. The first-time buyer is such an important element because each day, first-time buyers emerge into the market.
That's right. And they don't know anything that's going on. And we love, as my husband said earlier, helping people and taking their hand and guiding them through every step possible.
And Montgomery County is a really nice place, too.
It's a great place, and it's got a great school district.
Well, that's what they say about Katy, Sugar Land, everywhere. I love it.
But
it's all true, yeah. So come to Houston. We have great school districts.
That is right.
Everywhere.
Yes,
Steve, final word there, sir.
I would point out that first quarter we finished number 7 in Texas for a team
With RE/MAX.
with RE/MAX.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Lucky number.
And we're only 4 people on our team.
It's a lot of production.
Yeah.
It's been a great year.
You're smiling, Gay.
You betcha.
That's why people need to tune in to the show at stewart.com/radio, seeing the smiles. Well, Steve, let's tell people how they can reach the Watkins team once again.
My wife's phone number is 936-718-7997. 936-718-7997. You can reach her at gay@thewatkinsteamtx.com.
Thank you so much, Gay and Steve. And he is back, not on horseback, but he's still here. Buck Perino, the realtor on horseback. Well, Buck, winding things down. Now, do horses eat a lot?
Oh,
Per
yes.
day. How many pounds? What do you feed them?
Okay, so per
carrots?
day, I probably go through a bale of hay between the 4 horses I have, a bag of carrots, a watermelon, maybe some apples, and a bunch of feed.
Right, that's a lot of work.
Oh, it's a lot of work, but, anything in life that's worth anything is a lot of work.
There's no doubt about that. I'm thinking as when storms come and people run to Costco to buy water, like they can't buy it any other time, but just saying, you're stocking up for the horses too.
That's correct. Every time a major, weather inclement comes in, it's what do we have everything we need for the horses and how will they survive this?
Well, I can't resist one more horse reference. In my generation, there was a show called Mr. Ed, and that was fantastic. That was a talking horse.
That was a talking horse.
You've seen it.
Yes,
You're
sir.
too young for it, but you know about it.
My parents have been around.
Wilbur. Okay, well, in the meantime, so in addition to real estate, Buck, I bet people might even have a horse question or two, and they might want to buy or sell a house. Let's tell people how to reach you.
You can reach me at 512-364-1303 or reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook at The Realtor on Horseback.
The number again is
512-364-1303.
Thank you so much, Buck Perino. And thank you all, and especially a special thanks to 2 of our business development people right here who made this show possible in a tremendous way. That's right, Shelley Keller, doing tremendous work in Willis, Texas with Stewart Title, and in the Woodlands. Super awesome. You can call Shelley at 512-630-1196. That's 512-630-1196. We have the best business development people in all the land. A+++ team. And yes, Becky Bohannon is right here. She brought the Realtor on Horseback. Yes, she did. In fact, I'm picturing Becky right now on a horse. I don't know why, but in the meantime, Becky is representing us at Stewart Title right there in Tomball, Texas. You can call our office there at 281-357-8277. We have all the bases covered at Stewart Title. We're there to help you. Simply go to Stewart.com. If you're in any other area outside of the places I mentioned, we're there to help you. We're an international company, by the way, traded on the New York Stock Exchange as STC. Check us out at Stewart.com. And, of course, this show can be seen and heard. That's right, any time of the day, anywhere in the world at Stewart.com/radio. That's Stewart.com/radio. I'm your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett and all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening. Tell your friends, and we'll see you next week.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance.